I started in the company when I was 12 years old. Michael and I took turns on mowing lawns and doing the trimming. You make your way around the whole property, and by the time you're done, it was almost time to start again. I don't know how efficient it was, but got half minimum wage. I think if you talk to some of the people down here, that was maybe a little bit of babysitting of us as well as us doing work. We did get work done. We used to argue over whose dad was really in charge, because you'd see employees stop and talk in their office, and well, he must be in charge because there's a lot of people asking him questions and stuff, and you know, we weren't really clear at that age what exactly was going on, but as a kid, you're just kind of, oh, that's what I want to do someday, which is easier said than done, but you know, lucky enough over the years that they did give us the opportunity. My dad, Jim, was more on the operations and finance, you know, stickler for the financials and the expenses and watching expenses. You know, he always fostered a high respect for the company, and I think with that, if we treat the company well, the company will take care of us. I think he'd seen over the years, and being a multi-generational business, you know, he saw if we want to take this to the next generation, you know, we need guardrails. He was always fair, you know, even if no one was looking, and I think he did it enough that people recognized that and they trusted him.
We grew up on Verena Street, which was a family compound right across the street from Pepsi. So Pepsi was just ingrained in us from being little, and we grew up in an environment with all of our cousins together, because my dad and his siblings owned houses right in the same compound with each other. It felt as though my dad always was supported, like they were kind of a team, all of them working towards Pepsi. My dad was working a lot, but I felt like when he was there to relax and play and have fun. It was like an on and off switch, you know.
Jim's mom kind of set us up. Our mothers were in the same bridge club and mothers club. He was the president of Pepsi. He was there a lot. He was down there late at night. A lot of times I'd have supper for him, and finally came home and he ate, and then went back down to Pepsi. And it was hard. It was very hard. He was always very involved with the business.
Jim's my godfather. You know, he was always there to make sure that there was a nickel on the ground. We were going to pick it up and save it for a rainy day. I mean, he worked a lot and always doing something.
If he could do it himself, he would do it himself. Odd jobs, yard work, painting. He had rental properties that he would maintain. You know, even simple plumbing stuff. In our neighborhood, he installed the drainage behind the street around. I remember as a kid, this project of tearing up and putting these pipes in the ground. What in the world, what are they doing? Sometimes I thought he was a little insane for it.
I was over at Eric's house, and he'd be out cutting wood at like midnight. He and I are like, what in the world is he doing out there? He'd be out mowing the lawn with that flashlight on his head. It was funny. Yeah, I mean, it was funny. That's just who he is. He just does things whenever he feels it's time to do them. He's always on. Although I think we've loosened him up over the last 10 to 15 years with us being around so much. It wasn't like he was always serious. He still had a lot of fun. I mean, it was still, you get him out of work, and I mean, it was like, who's this guy? Because, you know, work he's one, and then all of a sudden you get him outside of work, he can still do it pretty good.
You think the guy is absolutely dead serious on everything he does, but then once you got to know Jim and know where he was coming from, it was a completely different thing. Jim had hired me to be a route driver. I show up for the first day of work, and Jim's not there to break me in. This is supposed to be my first day. Where's Jim? Where's Jim? And all of a sudden, Kenny Hagen, he shows up, and I says, well, Jim's supposed to be breaking me in. What's the deal? He says, Jim found out you don't know how to drive a clutch, and he ain't getting in this truck.
There was one time down at Celotex, he had locked himself out of his vending truck. And he was panicking, saying a few things, and Jack and I went down. We had another key to get him back in and get him going. He was out waving his hands, and whenever he couldn't get in his truck, got him settled down and got him back in his truck, and he was good to go. He was pretty excited, so we'll let it go at that.
He was good at doing it a lot without getting stressed out. He'd never complain about being busy or backed up. It's just he would get to it when he got to it. If I needed his signature on something, you know, he'd want to read it in its entirety, before signing it, and it would take 2-3 months of me bugging him to get it from him.
Jim was a shrewd negotiator, okay, so that's a quality that is good about him. Probably the most memorable is when we were buying Noah's Ark. Jim and I were instrumental in those negotiations, and Jim says, boy, before we commit, we got to take a ride up there and look at that one more time. So Jim, Dave Nurnberger, our accountant, and I took a ride up to the park, and Jim says, Dave, you get out there, put your hands on that gate, and tell me it's worth the agreed upon price. Dave got out of the van, grabbed a hold of the gate, and said, it's worth it. We ended up buying the park, and that was a great experience for everybody.
I was there, until I was 26. I'd go by his office, and you'd peek in there, and there'd be stacks of papers everywhere, on the floor, everywhere. And I don't know if it was a way to hide, to put your head on the desk or what it was, but every time you walk in there and ask for something, he actually knew where it was, and it could be across the way or behind him, but he had some strange filing system.
They used to have 2 offices. We remodeled a few years ago, and we got him down to 1 office, but then my mom says he took all of it and just parked it up at the house, which he does still have piles of stuff. So if things come up now, it's always, okay, if anybody knows something about this, it would be Jim.
You knew he was busy, and you just knew that he was so focused on work you didn't want to interrupt him at times. But in hallways and at the printer, you'd cross paths with him. He was a perfectionist. We had our gas cards, and I accidentally hit the 89 instead of the 87. And all in all, I think the invoice was or the receipt would have been a difference of 37 cents. But that adds up over a year's time if you're putting the higher fuel in your cars. He pointed it out to me.
He's definitely very analytical. We'll get her done. We got to analyze this just a little bit more first, which is okay. It is checks and balances, very much so.
Some business owners just want to know, is there money in the bank? When can I write a check? I need to withdraw money. I mean, he's the exact opposite of that. I mean, he intimately knows his business, and people that have worked for him, I've heard that, especially the ones that have gone on to work elsewhere, they sometimes miss that.
The ones that are successful are the ones that really know what the heck's going on, are paying attention, and they're there. The fact that you're there and people see you're there, that's huge.
Working with Jim and CJ over the years has been great and very rewarding. I wouldn't want to have anyone else as my partners, my bosses, or my mentors. They have been great leaders and have always set a good example. But thank you, it's been great. It's been a great ride.
I do, recall as a kid, he was there for the important stuff. He was a part of it, and when I got older and where am I going to college or purchasing a vehicle, he was always right there beside me. He also, instilled the value of $1 in me, I guess, starting at 12 years old, making $2.12.5 an hour. It's very easy to kind of take your eyes off the ball and see profitability flounder, and then when you do that, well, then you can't take care of employees or support your community.
He has definitely given me my work ethic and just my drive to never settle for anything less than the best, and operating out of intentionality and building something for myself, which was such a gift.
He's always doing something. He never sits down at all, doesn't watch really much TV. Jim has been absolutely wonderful helping me. He's been making our bed in the morning, he's been doing the grocery shopping, fixing the meals, he's been watering all the plants outside for me. All the stuff that I used to do, it's been wonderful.
He's loosened up over the years, and now he travels more, and he does have a yard service at home, but years ago he never, ever would have hired out his lawn care. It makes me happy, though, to see just enjoying the simple things, just go for a walk, go to breakfast, and I see that saying, well, that's great.
It's been really fun to see them just out enjoying life. He hasn't come out to see me much more yet. We're working on that.
Everything that we are today is because of Jim and CJ. I'll always remember everything that they did for me on the way up. Jim, have a good time. Do those things that you may have put off, and just remember to enjoy life while we can. Every day is a new adventure.
My message to Jim is certainly enjoy retirement. Once you do get in that mode of in your mind, there is something about it that it's not that bad. But enjoy it and live a nice long life.
I want to continue to see him and wish him the best and thank him for all the years that he's provided for us.
Dad, thanks for the opportunities that you've given me. As I get older, I learn more and more about where we've come from as a company and a family, and I look back and I find more appreciation every day in what you've done. When I see you enjoying your retirement, it makes me very happy.
Dad, thank you for all that you've been in my life and all that you are. My hope for my dad going forward in his retirement is that he can learn to really just be with whatever it is, stepping into that clear mind and that peace that God's intended for his life.